And we are live and back for another version of the Lakers Fast Break Snack Pack. And this edition, we feature a preview of Game 4 between the hosting Los Angeles Lakers and the visiting Golden State Warriors. The series is 2-1 for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers drew first blood in Game 1. The Warriors adjusted, came back in game 2, and we've swapped ass whippings ever since game 1. Game 4 is a new day, Tom, and I welcome in my guest, the number one Lakers blogger, LakerTom from LakerHolics.com. Tom, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to the Lakers putting a stake in the Dubs dynasty tonight.
It looks as though that could be on the main course, Tom. Now, I had Jamie on Saturday afternoon, and we went through our keys to the game, and he was right for the most part. Every facet of the game, he thought the Lakers needed to hone in on and do either adequately or quite well. They did, and now it's the emeritus of LakerHolics.com to give us his version of what, Tom, you think the Lakers need to do to put a stranglehold on this series. Because I got to be honest, Tom, when Steph was being interviewed after the game, he kind of had like a sly, foxy grin about making adjustments. I didn't see anything that would make me overly concerned. But did you see anything in Game 3 that made you concerned that maybe the adjustments the Warriors make in Game 4 might not be able to be overcome, Tom?
No, I actually got the totally opposite feeling about it. You remember the last time that we were on together, people were accusing me of being a pessimist like Jamie because I was worried about the Warriors.
That's right.
Because I have the utmost respect for Kerr and for those three guys who put together that string of championships. The two best shooters in the history of the game and one of the smartest players ever to play the game in Draymond Green. They're a formidable opponent, and so I went in, I especially after the first quarter, I felt quite a bit of trepidation. I was worried about the game at that point in time. The response by the Lakers was just fabulous because they did everything that they could have done. The moves that I just put an article out this morning that basically Darvin Ham may be a rookie coach, but those were genius moves that he made to get the Lakers and set for Game 3. And when I looked at those results and the logic behind them, moving Vanderbilt onto Draymond and moving AD off of him and all of those various, Reeves onto him. And we basically neutralized the pick and roll by having Vando be the guy who's going to be picking him up, It's an interesting thing because the other thing that we did is we returned after the first quarter. We went back to the high drop, which has been the best success we had. I know we kind of gave up on it after that first game because they shot 53s and shot 40%. And that was our attempt to, keep them in the game. But in Game 3, when we went back to it, that's what really did it all down. You throw in there that the move to bring back Lonnie Walker. And then the last thing that I loved was putting LeBron at the high post on the elbow in the fourth quarter. That just sealed that whole game right there and then. And it sent a message to the Warriors, which is, you think you want to go smaller even? Good luck. Because with LeBron James there, he's one dribble from a dunk, from an easy layup, from a dish to AD. It was stupid giving him the ball out there beyond the 3-point line. And I'm fascinated by what the Warriors are going to do because it does not seem to be a consensus of what they're going to do. And the reason they're not a consensus is because they don't have an answer for Anthony Davis. I suspect that they're going to play a lot of zone, try to get us to shoot 3-point shots and lure us into that. And man, just get the ball to LeBron in the middle. That's all you got to do in the zone. Just put LeBron at the center at the free throw line and get the ball to him, and he'll eat them up. I know that Jovan Buha says that they're going to go small with they're going to put their money on. They're going to bet on Poole, and put him in there and see if he can play like he did last year versus this year. I think there's an option of that. Then there's talk about, okay, we got to go back to Looney. We got to go back where we've got our strength, where we've got our two guys and setting those screens and so forth, and forget about game one. It's so when I look at the options that they have, I don't see I don't know what they're going to do. I don't have any idea. I think they're probably going to try, knowing, there's no team out there that knows how hard it is to come back from 1-3 than the Warriors. In fact, they saw that firsthand. So
they've been on both ends of it.
They're going to come out so angry and so determined and so desperate that all we have to do is handle that first little surge that they get. But I think it's going to be another big win by the Lakers, 20 points. And I think
wow. Okay, Tom.
I think it's a stake into the Golden State dynasty.
You know what? It's
over.
Yeah.
Dre will be gone. Dre will be gone this summer. And Poole.
Yeah, Tom. For for all their turmoil, for all their road woes this year, you can't underestimate the heart of a champion. I know that's cliched, but Rudy T was 100% correct when he said that. Championship medal is forged through fire, man. So it's not as
if have the two best shooters that ever played
a game. Yes. But I expect the crowd to be on top of them again, Tom. We're likely going to need them. And Tom, I still have confidence in Austin Reeves, and I think he's going to play his best game of the playoffs tonight. I really do. He's
had some tough defensive jobs, man.
He has, man. He's been running like a chicken with his head cut off on defense, it seems like, for the past.
And he cannot buy a foul. I mean, it's just like the league all of a sudden said, don't give that white boy any fouls, man.
Yeah.
It's too embarrassing, But I love Austin. I love this whole team. I even want Dennis back. I think that there's not a better use for our MLE than Dennis to bring him back. And the problem is it's so much money to bring all of those guys back because you got Hachimura, Russell, and Reeves. Bringing those three back, and then Schroeder, let's say, for the MLE. Once you get into that range, you're talking $80,000-$90,000 in luxury taxes. So you basically probably don't take the team option for Beasley. You let him walk. Because even if you get him and trade him, you got to bring back 80% of $16 million.
Yeah, I know.
Or you decline it and then you re-sign him to 3 years for $10 million. I might do that if he was willing to do that. He's a good enough shooter. He's only 26, I think, something like that.
Yep.
And then I think the number 17 pick, I think we go for a center. We go for the backup center, the rim protector that we need, a young kid. I like Adam Bona from UCLA. I think he is fast. He is fast and can jump like nobody. And I like Derek Lively from Duke. Again, a good defensive guy, and he can stretch the floor. But the main thing is just I don't want to. I'm tired of a retread as a backup guy. I don't want to see one of those retreads that are too slow, don't have the young legs, and so forth. And I think that next to backup point guard, the most important reserve is probably the center.
Yeah, that's been the bugaboo of this team for the past probably 5 years, Tom. Ever since Anthony Davis was acquired, they've never been able to solidify
Well,
those.
we had it with
JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard.
McGee
Yeah,
and Howard, but it was kind of a weird one because it was like McGee gave us the first half of the year, but by the playoffs we had to have Howard because McGee had lost everything.
that's right. That's right. So you were
You have
able to
people who won for sure, though.
right. But you're right. We were able to squeeze about 12, 15 minutes out of those two guys, and it was a lot of production. So you're right, Tom. I mean, in the off season and in the draft, if a dead eye shooter is not available to you, yeah, I agree with you. You take that backup center and go to town with it because
I mean, we haven't had a pick down at 17. I mean, it's an interesting. I was thinking the other day that you notice that the two teams that may be favored to be in the finals were wild card teams.
mm-hmm.
Were teams, not wild card teams, but play-in teams.
Yes,
The Lakers and the Heat.
yes,
And they call the last one a bubble championship, a phony one, and they're going to call this the rubble championship. They'll probably put an asterisk next to that one too, because it's been a rubble of a season for the NBA, and players and stars dropping left and right and coming back, and just so unsettling. But when you look at the formula, the Lakers had almost an ideal formula. Go into the play-in tournament so you get a good draft pick, just slightly outside the lottery, man. And then ride your way up through the rubble to the top of the line. The Celtics are number one pick now at 8-5, and the Lakers are 4-1, second pick.
That's incredible, right?
They're predicting a Lakers-Celtics battle for number 18. Of course,
that would
we still got a couple of roadblocks ahead of us. But,
yes.
Yeah. I think this is the game where AD has a great game. This odd even stuff doesn't make sense because he was great in the sixth game. I mean, when we dominated to win the championship there, to win the play-in game, I don't see, that was a big game to finish off the Grizzlies the way that we did. Really impressive. And so they've got this thing going based upon just the 3 games, that we won the first one, they won the second one, we won the third one. They got to win the fourth one. And anytime that they've lost by more than 20 points in the history of the Warriors, they've come back and win by more than 10. But they've never met Anthony Davis in the playoffs before.
No, Tom.
Maker.
They have not. And when they've surrendered 15 or more turnovers, Tom, in this playoffs, they are 1-4. Yep. Now, they played against a team that did not have the defensive chops that the Los Angeles Lakers have, Tom. That's the Sacramento Kings. A lot's been made of the free throw discrepancy, and we've basically kind of told the Warriors fans to go kick rocks, go take a long walk on a short pier.
Steve Kerr's little speech?
Yeah, he said no.
The referees had nothing to do with the free throws.
No.
Were our mistakes, our playing the game wrong, and their style. We shoot jump shots, they attack the basket.
Absolutely, Tom. And we know throughout the season, Sacramento had problems playing defense without fouling. That's why the Warriors were able to go to the line a lot in that 7-game series. Darvin Ham's coaching philosophy is a little different, especially with perimeter guys.
How about Darvin Ham? Aren't you astounded by? I mean,
yes,
all the concerns that we as impatient entitled Laker fans had all season. Can he make the adjustments? He seems very slow to make changes and so forth. But when you look back, he made the right adjustments. He got Russ to the bench. He moved Reeves into the starting lineup. He made the big adjustment when we made the trade by putting Vando in there and 2 shooters to offset him. And the game plan was terrific. The series against the Grizzlies, he was terrific. And I thought that the moves that he and the coaching staff made for game 3 were genius. because they really just covered the whole gamut. I put out a list of 10 things that I wanted to see for a win. And I was, for the first time in my life, I was able to go down there and I had to cheat on 3 of them, but I had to put 10 check marks next to it that every single thing we wanted to do, instead of 30-10, LeBron 80 was 25 and 15 or something like that.
Right. Yes.
LeBron, instead of being 25, 10 and 10 was 25, 8 and 8, so it was like a perfect storm game, and I expect more of the same. I don't think we're going to see the fluke like game 2 because this is not a home game. And I am a little worried about the referee.
Scott Foster.
Yeah, Scott Foster, Mr. Extender, is in there to extend the series out to a 7th game as much as he can try. So that concerns me a little bit. And you still have to understand that Curry, Steph, and Clay could get so hot that they could win this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I mean, that's the ultimate danger when you play the Warriors, that you can hold those suckers down and then they could come through like at the end of the game 1. And if Poole hit that 3, we might have been in overtime and lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lakers have been playing must-win games for 2 months. I think that they understand how important this game is, and I think that there's no chance that they're going to come out lethargic. I just think that they're going to come out loaded for bear.
I hope you're right, Tom. I think you're going to be right, Tom, because I would stress, look at what happened in game 2. Your inattentiveness and lack of focus, even for half a second, they can rip your heart apart.
Yep.
They're the best. I was telling Jamie on Saturday.
The scariest team to defend that's out there, Sean.
Yeah, because it's not even about making mistakes necessarily. If you're not even focused on the right keys in a possession, they'll rip your heart out.
Well, every game Steph plays, I used to make this joke about Russell Westbrook, that Westbrook was really so good that even in his worst game, there were probably a half a dozen times during the game when you just went, God, what a great move. Well, Steph Curry is like that without the idiotic, dumb things that Russ
does. Yep.
I mean, he makes a half a dozen shots a game that I'm just astonished at. And it annoys me that he's always kicking his feet out. He's the only guy who doesn't get called for kicking his feet out, just because that's his flailing style, to shoot the ball like that. But man, and he's very hard to stop going to the basket because he knows how to shoot, and it's going to be fascinating seeing what they do. But I think we've seen signs all year long that the triumvirate, Clay, Steph, and Dre, that triumvirate now is ready to turn over for something new, and I think we see all of these other good young players that are coming up and how good those teams can be, as well as, how, if you can put together the right combination of people like Pelinka did, number 11 in the voting for executive of the year, voted by his peers, which tells you something. But you can turn around and take a team that was 2-10 start and had a .02 chance of winning a championship and put them 2 games and maybe by midnight tonight, 1 game away from being in the conference finals.
Incredible. And I agree with you. Coach Ham is making us all look like we've got egg on our face from the the criticism we don't need
a guy, a 60-year-old veteran coach by his side in order to make sure he doesn't screw up.
No, but one thing is very clear: when the playoffs come around, Darvin Ham has a couple rabbits in the hat, and he's able to very, very astutely focus in on which matchups and which sets he wants to exploit. And hats off to Coach Ham. He really showed us a few things here. And Tom, Do you expect the Warriors to adjust off side pick and rolls? I mean, just to try and get Steph going maybe a little bit the way they got him going in the second game, or do you think that's a bridge too far at this point because we made our adjustments in game 3, and I just don't see any way of if AD is focused. I just don't see any way for them to penetrate that wall that is his defensive prowess.
Well, the difficulty that they have with it is that, and it's an interesting move because the two guys that they want to set the picks for Steph or for Clay are going to be guarded by Vanderbilt and Davis, our best two defenders on those types of plays. And so what it does is it makes it very difficult for them to make it successful because we're doing the high drop in those situations. And as a result, there's no rotation. See, what they're used to doing is being able to beat the guy off the dribble and then kick the ball out to an open shooter. So they're used to putting everybody into rotation by all of the switching and moving around and the constant off moves and so forth. And the problem is the Lakers can guard this pick and roll by them with Steph the way they've set it up, because the second defender in every situation is going to be Davis or Vanderbilt, both of whom are perfect to, so the teams want to switch to get an easier defender, not a tougher defender. So you put Reeves on one, and you put D'Lo on probably on Clay. Okay, so you want to run against those guys 1-on-1, or do you want to try to switch off and go against Vanderbilt or Davis? So it's that situation where we've made it not advantageous for them. We've basically taken away the side pick and roll from them.
Mm-hmm.
Those Curry and Clay pick and rolls to get things rolling. So listen, they got a big repertoire of different plays that they can do and so forth. And like we were talking, there's all of these different options, and before they go down, they're going to try every one of them, Sean.
Yeah, Tom.
I'm with you. One before the end of the game. I'll bet you anything.
I wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all. I think you're right, Tom. I think
Ham's going to do the same. Ham's going to do the same thing. This is game 7. We don't want to play game 6,
I expect Coach. You're right, Tom. You're right. I expect Coach Kerr to empty out everything he's got. Everything. The kitchen sink's gonna be thrown at us and everything in it. And
it's going to be a crazy game because the changes are going to come by quarter. If you win the quarter, that's going to be a change for the next quarter by whoever lost.
Tom, do you expect Draymond Green to be back in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I think that they're going to. My guess is they're going to start Draymond and Poole. I don't think Moody or Kuminga's up for the job. Poole can get hot, and
he's played poorly in games 2 and 3, which means that's what I'm afraid of.
Of course, then there are the guys that just are due and never happen. That could be one of those situations. But Poole is. I think that their best chance is to go super small. They've ran it a little bit and it's been positive. They don't have anything else statistically to look at that says try me.
So you're thinking they're just going to have to bite the bullet and either live with DiVincenzo or Wiggins as their 4 to just try get something, right, Tom? I mean, they have no choice.
Gray's going to be the only big man on the floor. The rest are all going to be shooters. They're going to try to make 25 threes. They're going to shoot 60 threes and hope to make 25 of them.
So we're expecting a game where potentially the Warriors want 110, 115 possessions. They that's what I'm expecting.
How are they going to get those? See, what we got to do is 1 and out. 1 and out them, and then dominate points in the paint and free throws made.
So stop fussing around. Just get a good shot and live with the results.
Right.
Got
And
it.
the big difference I think is in game two we got scared. We got scared of the high drop because we got scored on a lot underneath by drives, Curry driving and so forth. And that's what killed our points in the paint, that we lost the points in the paint. We lost the points in the paint because they're driving in the paint. It wasn't post ups or some offensive rebounds, but it was just basically that we weren't doing a good job with the high drop. And so we gave it away. We abandoned it even though we won. And then got killed in game two by not doing a high drop, as they shot 50% from 53 free throw or 53s. So that was catastrophic. And I couldn't believe we started game three doing the same thing, with a low drop, and they were firing threes away. And we're behind already by 7 points at the end of the first quarter. So I think the Lakers have found the solution to how to make Anthony Davis have the widest range of coverage, and that is the high drop, and putting him on somebody who is not a primary defender. Now, what we do when they're going to have somebody in there, we may have to have him on Draymond at that point, although I like the Vanderbilt on Draymond thing. That's working well. What if they got four guards out there? How are you going to adjust for that? So there's going to be some immediate, just as much as we're going to see Steve Kerr pull out his bag of tricks, then that Darvin Ham and his crew are sitting there. This is what we're going to do if they pull this bag of tricks, and here's what we're going to do if they pull this one out, and they pull this bunny out of the hat. This is what we're going to do. So it's going to be a fascinating game, and I really think the Lakers are in as good a position at this point in time as they could possibly be. They could still get beat by terrific shooting. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are good enough. And geez, you got Wiggins, they've got a good shooting team, far better shooting team than we have. So defense is the equalizer, and hopefully we can play good enough defense to keep them from making those 25 threes that they'd like to make, and out of those 60 threes that they'd like to take.
Yes, because I really think they're at some point in time that it's going to be a bait and lure with them. I think they're going to try and hypnotize us with that side pick and roll, and they're going to be creative, Tom. Like you said,
Yeah.
Kerr and Curry are going to try everything to try and open up that side of the floor up and just try and bleed us out slowly. But like you said, I think adjustments were made where you can kind of not put a Band-Aid on that, but almost cover it up where it's not causing you to bleed out.
What it all amounts to really in the end, Sean, we've got all of these adjustments that everybody's made and so forth, and now it's going to come down to who plays better. I think we've reached the point, you get to that point in the series where, okay, we've seen you play your best in a game. We've seen us play our best in a game. Now we got the game that's on the line. Whoever walks out of this game, whoever wins this game probably is going to win the series.
Yep.
Probably is going to win the West, and very likely could win the NBA championship. That's how important this game is right now, not just to the Lakers, but also to the Warriors.
100%.
They're the champions.
Tom, you're 100% right. Teams that go on to win Game 4 in the NBA playoffs win the series 79% of the time. And as a side note, teams that go up 3-1 win over 86% of the time. Only 13 teams have ever come back from 3-1 down. And we'll say it again. Yep, Golden State's been on both sides of that coin. They've given up a 3-1 lead.
They know that very well. They know what's at stake tonight.
They do. So they're going to come out and throw us.
That's why I don't see any player on either team coming out and not trying his hardest, and going all out. They all know that this is it. This game is going to determine this game's going to determine the whole season for both teams.
100%, Tom. And as we saw it in the last series, Sacramento desperately tried to win Game 4. They lost by a point, and that point was enough because it went from a 2-0 series lead to the Warriors winning 4 out of 5, and now you're 1-2-3 Cancun, and they're playing the Lakers. So I don't want to be on the opposite end of that either.
Yeah, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to win 2 games, including. I mean, we're going to play 2 out of 3 in San Francisco.
It's tough.
That's going to be hard to win.
That's tough. You're right, sir. You're right. When asking a team to win 2 out of 3 games against the former champs is tough enough, but both of those wins might have to come on the road.
Yeah, it's possible. But we'll see. Anyway, it's so much fun to be looking forward to a Laker game
in the playoffs, man.
And this is like the 21st game in a row by Anthony Davis.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I don't think he's played this string of games.
It's the most games in a row this season, I think.
Yes, and I believe since 2020 as well. Of course, we all know what happened when he was able to get an extended, consistent run there.
I remember that too. I remember that 2-1 lead over the Suns that we had. I actually remember that game, thinking about that lead as we were watching that game. And the eeriness of just so happy that AD got through that game without getting injured. So let's hope that we don't have any injuries tonight. It would be great.
I hope not. No. And Tom, before we head on out and talk about the other series tonight, just before we leave, I just thought I'd leave this tidbit for ourselves and for Laker fans. So AD's history as a Los Angeles Laker in the playoffs, Tom, when he's averaged 8 or more free throws in a playoff game, the Lakers are 12-3.
When you look at games 2 and 3 in this series, AD was talking and justifying it. I took basically the same number of shots, 10 shots in one, 11 shots in the other. And that's not the measure of what counts of being aggressive, because the difference was how many free throws did you take? 4 versus like 15.
Yeah.
And that is the measure of how you know whether he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, which is getting to the line. And as the other thing too, which is interesting about free throws, is that we really made very few free throws because of getting fouled on shots. The key is always, and the number of free throws, the number of fouls per teams were fairly simple. We're much closer than the number of free throws. The difference is when you get them, you've got to get teams into the penalty. And we do a terrific job of getting teams into penalty, and we do a terrific job of staying out of the penalty. That's how you end up being number 1 in number of free throws that you give a team versus number 30 in the number of free throws you give a team. It all comes down to, once you get into the penalty, every little ticky-tack free throw is 2 shots.
Yes.
You just get killed that way.
And
it's such a weapon.
It is, because the clock stops and you're putting points on the board. And the defense gets to set. That's Tom's always brought that up as well in this new era of the NBA, whether it's a made 3 or you get a layup or made free throws. The defense is able to set, and that's an advantage for the defensive team.
Yeah, teams have gotten so good at trying to get advantages now that if you make a basket, scoring after a made basket happens all the time now. But you don't see scoring after a made free throw, because the other team's already got 3 guys down at the other end anchoring it. And it's just the 2 guys that are sitting there by the free throw line that are waiting to run down the court. It makes it a whole lot different. So it's going to be a fun game. I think we're going to enjoy it, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of stress. I've always preferred blowouts by my favorite team versus nail biters.
Yes, no, I know. You said it before. I prefer a 30-point game, whether we win or lose. I don't really give a rip.
Well, I would rather have a 1-point win than a 30-point loss or a 1-point loss. But
Yeah.
but and I have to say that I've mellowed in my old age. That I don't. I mean, I have thrown TVs against the wall and done stuff like that after games and so forth. And I've had neighbors complain and come over and talk about the various things that they heard during the game and so forth. So now I understand that everything has got a certain perspective, and I'm not going to let a Lakers loss ruin my day, but I'm not also going to be happy about it. So I just root as hard as I can, and I believe that my rooting makes a difference, even if it's on tape delay.
That's right. I agree. I'm the same way, Tom. The juju does
there.
not stay frozen.
It's still there.
No, you're right.
It may be a little Groundhog Day-ish, but it's still there.
It's still there. Now, Tom, before we head on out, I'd love to get your thoughts on a couple of the other series we've been watching. Now, one that's really important for us, obviously, is the other semifinal that's going on in the West. So if anybody's a little behind the eight ball, Denver rolled out like hell on wheels the first two games.
Everybody held court is basically what happened in that series.
Yes, you're right, sir. And somehow the Nuggets left that great defense they played in the desert because it didn't show up when they played Phoenix. How do you see the best of three with these two teams now unfolding, Tom? Who would you favor? What did you
win it in 7?
Yep.
I think the home court is really important on that, especially for the Suns, because the Suns basically don't have the depth that Denver has, and I think that home court advantage is going to really be important. You know, it's hard to. I can't imagine them. I mean, they were lucky to win. They had a heck of a game, 53 points by Joker, and 4 threes in the fourth quarter by I forgot his name. It's like Langford.
No, Landry Shamet, Tom.
Shamet, right?
Yeah,
boy.
Shamet.
I mean, that was quite a turnaround for that situation. So I still think that it's going to be the Nuggets in 7.
All right, and as we saw yesterday, Tom, the heated rivalry between the Celtics and the Sixers took on a new look. Marcus Smart had an opportunity in both regulation and double overtime to win, Tom. Came up short.
How can you not in 18 seconds get a shot off? You know,
I find that very difficult to believe.
Celtics in 7.
Celtics in 7. All right, and do you have any thoughts on the game tonight, Tom? The Heat and the Knicks. Do you think Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson bounce back tonight? Or do you think Spoelstra's adjustments are because as I said before the series started,
I can't believe what the Heat is doing. I mean, they played so poorly all year long. When you look at the Lakers in the Heat year, I can understand why some of the detractors are saying bubble 2.0, bubble 2.0. These guys are. Everybody else who's competing against them is falling apart, losing their superstars or getting upset.
Spoelstra has pulled a Darvin Ham here, and he's decided, well, you know what? I'm going to bring Kyle Lowry off the bench. I'm going to see how that goes. Well, my goodness, it's been a shot in the arm for them. It's been a revelation. And Kyle's...
It's who you play against, Put a guy like Lowry against second-team point guards.
You know what, Tom? Kyle Lowry probably will not go into the Hall of Fame, but he's got a Hall of Fame effort and heart throughout his whole career. He plays with so much heart, Tom. It's he leaves it all out on the floor. And
he's going to win tonight.
You think so? Yeah.
I think that. It's funny but it's what it is. It's the modern game versus it's old school versus new school, and they don't have an Anthony Davis to do what the Lakers can do, And so it's very difficult for them to handle a team, even as good as the defense that Thibs comes up with and so forth. And as well as that team has played, I really think that Miami has a chance to be in the championship again.
I do too. This is
scary.
This is scary.
I don't believe in the Celtics as much as I'd like to play them in a championship. I know that we'd have an easier time with Miami just because we beat them before and we can do it again.
Well, I remember before the playoffs started, Tom asking Gerald whether or not he thought just at all if he thought the Heat would be able to give any kind of trouble to the Bucks or Celtics.
Oh, he answered the same as I did, which is probably not a
chance, no chance,
yeah, right.
No shot in hell.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
now,
That's what I said.
And now they have they're possibly 2 wins away from an opportunity to face them. My goodness, that's becoming a rival.
Like the Lakers, I think tonight they will be 1 win away from the conference finals.
That would be incredible. And Tom, as much respect as he's given, myself and Joe were talking the other day. We don't think Eric Spoelstra gets enough credit for his ability to.
You got to put him in the same category as Phil and the other great coaches. I mean, as Pops and so forth. The other thing is, here's what's really special about Spoelstra in my mind. Number one, he didn't play the game. He wasn't a basketball player. That's really hard for a lot of players to deal with. A guy who didn't play the game telling me how to play the game, that's really tough for some guys to take. And then the other thing is, how long has he been there?
He's been there since 1995 when he started as a video coordinator.
Generally speaking, 4 or 5 years is all that you can do with a veteran team, because you got too many guys who've heard you for too many pep talks and too many halftime rants and too many last minute moves and so forth, that pretty soon nobody's listening to you. They've heard that before. It's from background. It becomes old stuff.
Absolutely, Tom. Once Greg Popovich,
for a guy to survive that and do as well as he did, he belongs right up there with all of the great coaches, with Phil Jackson, with Popovich, all of those guys. I definitely think he's in the same tier. To put him in a tier below that is disrespectful.
Absolutely. I agree,
but
Tom.
We're going to beat him in 6.
Yeah. I love it. All right. I want to appreciate and thank my special guest today, Mr. Tom Wong, the #1 Lakers blogger out there. Please catch his articles at Lakerholics.com. I really enjoyed his latest one where he talks about the new rejuvenated LeBron James and the new rejuvenated Anthony Davis. Check it out. It's a great read. You'll enjoy it. I agree with LakerTom's keys to the games tonight. The Warriors are going to come out like brick, what, right. And they're going to give us everything they got. I agree with LakerTom. Lakers survived the first 10 minutes with their air raids and their barrages. I think stick with the game plan, and I think it will be there at the end for a victory. So we'll see you after the game, hopefully with the Lakers win.
Okay, good enough, Sean.
All right.
Good job, man.
Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.